Well, cracking down on animal abuse here in New Mexico.
That is one thing state legislators will be talking about today. Ironically, we were just named among the worst 5 states for animal abuse. 2 bills in the state Senate could change that, though, and prevent dogs like Honest Abe here and Angus from getting abused. One bill would make it a 4th-degree felony to kill or abuse an animal badly. Now, the other would expand and would include extreme cruelty, which would be to include starving animals on purpose.
We see dogs and cats that are victims of abuse and neglect, and it's not just from rural areas. We see them within the city too. That's why it's important to get the state laws passed.
The bills right now are in committees, so they do have a long way to go until they actually do become law.
It's been more than a week since a sergeant with Albuquerque's police department was involved in a deadly crash, and investigators are still trying to find out more about this. They're back out at Paseo del Norte and Eagle Ranch Road this weekend reconstructing that crash, and state police were there too in the past. It had just been Bernalillo County Sheriff's deputies. They're all trying to figure out exactly what happened early last Sunday morning when Sergeant Adam Casaus's police SUV slammed into another SUV with Lindsay and Ashley Browder in it. Ashley died. Lindsay was badly hurt. Sergeant Casaus is still on desk duty right now and says he had his lights and siren on when the crash happened and he was going after a drunk driver. But we got dispatch logs that show he never called that in. Plus, this was after his regular shift, and the police department won't say if Sergeant Casaus was working overtime when the crash happened. Well, here's another example of why teens and drinking and driving do not mix. Early yesterday morning, sheriff's deputies saw a car parked the wrong way in Alameda Northwest. So deputies went up to the car and say 3 teens took off running and the driver sped off and ended up rolling that car. There it is, that SUV, and had to go to the hospital. Investigators caught up with the other 3 teens too. They say alcohol was involved in all of this.
We'll soon know if an Albuquerque cop killer will be released from prison on parole. Joel Lee Compton will go before the state parole board in March. Compton was convicted of fatally shooting 35-year-old officer Gerald Klein back in 1983. Compton was initially sentenced to death by lethal injection, but the governor at the time, Tony Anaya, took that sentence back, made it life in prison during his last month in office. The Albuquerque Journal reports that a corrections department spokesperson says Compton will deny any involvement in the crime and claims he has no recollection of killing the officer when he goes before the parole board.
Well, driving drunk with kids in the car. Police say it happened again this weekend here in Albuquerque, and the woman accused of doing it is still in jail right now. Heather Nez was in court on child abuse charges yesterday. Police stopped Nez's car on Montgomery near San Mateo this weekend, saying she was swerving all over the place. They also say she reeked of booze, had watery eyes, and slurred speech. She also had 4 kids in the car. One of them was just 8 months old. Like sheriff's deputy from Lee County, this one now waiting to see how long he's going to spend in prison for raping a 9-year-old girl. Danny Surratt was found guilty of that. He could spend 18 years in prison. Plus, he's also accused of raping that girl's 16-year-old sister. He had been a deputy for 20 years.
The man police say was in a church not to pray but to commit a crime is still in jail this morning. Police say Kenneth Vineyard broke into the First Baptist Church on Broadway Northeast back in October and stole about $500 worth of copper wiring. Vineyard was in court this weekend charged with commercial burglary, among other things. Police say Vineyard did about $30,000 worth of damage to the church. We are expecting to learn more about the teen boy found dead at a state park. Police say the body of 17-year-old Omar Sanchez was discovered at Caballo Lake State Park this weekend. He was reportedly camping with his cousin. Right now, it's unclear if the boy's body was found in the lake or near it, or if the teen was initially reported missing. Detectives will not say if foul play or alcohol were involved just yet.
We're now waiting for an autopsy to officially know how a man from Kirtland Air Force Base died in San Juan County. Sheriff's deputies there found Gilroy Luther's body at the bottom of a 100-foot cliff last week. He'd been missing since the end of January. Investigators say they think that Luther fell. And take a look at this woman. She is missing and could be in danger. Her name is Ginger Encinias, and state police say she's been missing since Valentine's Day. Ms. Encinias is 23 years old. She is from Pecos. She's about 5 feet tall with brown eyes.